Well, now, wow, this statistics will actually shock you. It's quite shocking. Guess what? 85% of people are known to be ignorant. Okay, they're just ignorant of whatever is happening in this world. No matter how much you try to open their eyes, they are still ignorant. And probably you might see some of them on the comment section. Just go check it out. And by the way, 10% are actually lazy. They're just lazy. They don't want to disturb the comfort. They're just lazy. Okay? And number five, or 5%, guess what? They are winners. And this number is quite high, but most of the time, 2% of the people on earth are the ones who become winners, that the people who achieve their dreams and what have you. Statistically, irrespective of where you're watching this video from, if I ask a very simple question, between the rich and the poor, who are the majority on earth? Who are the majority? Good. Now, guess what exactly happens? Why I say 85% of the people are ignorant of what is happening globally. And this is exactly what I mean. You find whenever you share an idea that can help an individual, how they can be able to propagate them, because there are people, I understand, there are people who are jokers on the on the internet, sharing jokes and all kind of view. But there are some of the people whom you can just sit down and listen to them. You can actually borrow an idea that can actually transform your life exemplary. But these guys are just there to criticize and such kind of a thing. You tell them to do something. And by the way, guess what? This 85%, they follow. They are followers. They follow people. They are there. They comment. They nod their head. You remember back in high school? I'm going to give you a very simple example. Back when we were in high school, before we do our, end of the high school exam, we used to, examiner used to be brought to our place and talk to us. They're sort of, even in life, we have these motivational speakers who are brought in to transform, to revamp our lives and what have you. You find these people are very serious. They have a pen and paper, they're just there writing, nodding their head. Yeah, amazing, sure. I love your videos, good Joseph, amazing. They have never bought shares. They have never invested any money in market fund. After this video, they don't even check what is bills. They never check what is bonds. They never bother to start a business. They never bother to have a budget. They never even bother to have an emergency fund, sinking fund. They do nothing. They just watch. They enjoy. They have that sort of a dopamine hormone rises. They feel happy. Then they go back to their normal thing. They have a dopamine. Then they go back. And then they are the majority on earth. They are the people who are there. And some of them in between, they are actually criticize you. What are you? What do you have? Are you a millionaire? What's the color of your Bugatti? Where do you come from? Like all those. It's like me driving a Bugatti. Now that helps you to invest. Now, how is that even related in one way or the other? So what you're supposed to do is that, for example, there are people whom I watch as well. There are people whom I follow. Sometimes they say something, I'm like, I don't want that. But I don't have to say anything. I just scroll up. I go to the next one. I just go to the next one. I just go to the next one. Oh, wow, I like that one. I can pick that one. I may not like the guy, but I just like that thing. I don't even care what he has, what he does. Let me just pick that thing. I utilize it and I do the thing and I move to the next level. Now, that particular point, these people who are called ignorant, they are just consume the information, they get entertained by the information, they rise the dopamine, and then they just disappear. And that's why you find these are the group or large group of masses of people who are controlled by the politicians. Why? Because they are served with this dopamine, a shortcoming dopamine, while they are promised heaven on earth. We're going to do this, we're going to transform this, we're going to work on this, we're going to make sure your life is better. And then they tend to think like their life, their success is actually, it's defined by the politicians, defined by the leaders. They suffer because of somebody, they struggle because of, they are poor because someone is rich, and all those kind of mentality and that kind of understanding. And then there are the people who tell you, guess what, there is no money in Africa, I have to get outside the continent for me to make money, and all those kind of things. We agree, truly, there may be more opportunities outside the continent of Africa, maybe in Europe and America. But the fact remains, there are wealthy people who have ever seen growing wealth, becoming wealthy still in the continent of Africa. So it can be done. It doesn't have to be necessarily, it's not like 0 or 100. No, it can actually share some percentages. Personally, I've seen people who have never gotten out of even the next country, our neighbors here, but they're still within our country and they have actually done great. And I do believe if you have the right mindset, if you have the right zeal, if you have the right motivation, all those kind of things, if you put them together, they can actually propagate you towards achieving that particular goal that you want. Now, this 85%, this is where I can spend a lot of time discussing them. These are the people whom you realize that you find them in the people's comment section. They're just people who say, hey, I'm gonna unfollow you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do the other thing, why would you tell this and that? And if these people, because I love to sort of take them as they have that naivety, you realize that if there is this individual who is scamming people along the streets and what have you, these are the people you find like they just fall into the trap. But there is a special group of people, we call them the 10%. These are the lazy people. When we talk about the lazy, here we mean people who are not intrigued by the change. These are the people who they just flow with the buy vibe. They're just there. They don't want to disturb their comfort, and these are the people who they think in the perspective of getting rich quick schemes and what have you. These are the people who fall into the trap. These are the people who, yeah, majority fall under the ignorance part, because this is where the scammers thrive a lot. Under the 85%, this is where the scammers thrive. The scammers, they usually thrive under the 85%. Why? Because you realize that if you just sell what do we call this, sort of a pipe dream, we call them the monkey business. If you sell that idea to them, you find most of them, because they are complaining. Then if you try to sort of show them this is the idea, this is the thing to go, and you manipulate them wrongly, then people tend to take advantage of them. And now these 10% who are lazy, these are the people you realize that they never disturb them. So whenever you share the idea that cannot work, you tell them you can invest on a money market fund. How can I invest 100,000? I get 10,000 or 12,000 or 15,000 at the end of the year. I cannot do that. And then you wait to see, or maybe get an information from them like, okay, I cannot invest my 100,000 to get 50,000 at the end of the year. And then you see, when you don't want this, you must have an alternative. Then you wait to ask them, okay, fine, you cannot invest on this. What is the best or better alternative that you have? They shut up, they keep quiet. They would rather have that money lying idle in a bank where it is making zero, rather than even get this 15,000 at least that is coming in, or 10,000 that is coming in from you investing in this particular point. You're just operating. I know that sounds like more of an ignorance, but there is a lazy aspect, there is a lethargy aspect of them, where they don't want to disturb the comfort, the norm, how they operate and all those kind of things. And these are the people you tell them, hey, you know what, we can invest on this. They give you a trail of explanations why they shouldn't. The government is collapsing. I don't trust the government. Cannot do that. And then these are the people, then you realize, hey, guess what? Let them start a business. No, that business cannot work. That business will fail. I saw somebody who started that business. They actually failed. They lost all the money. You're like, okay, fine. Now, what is it for you? What do you want? Oh, I'm still looking forward. See, now, if when you operate on that kind of a perspective, when you operate on that kind of a view, I'm telling you, you're going to have a very, very tough life along or ahead of you. Now, these ignorance people and the lazy people, they are kind of different, okay? And I always tell people, show up each and every day. Make sure that you learn. Make sure that you identify opportunities. You tap those opportunities. And please, in the curve of learning, stop sort of remaining in the learning curve all the time. You're learning. There is no action in between. You're just learning. You have you're analyzing. Have you heard of something called the analysis paralysis, where you analyze everything, then you paralyze everything? Just be cautious and careful. Make those baby steps. Sometimes I usually have calls with clients that they tell me, hey, you know what, Joseph, I would like us to discuss variety ways of investments. We talk about stocks, we talk about bonds, we talk about bonds, we talk about trades, index. They want me to talk about all those things. By the time you're on the 7th one or the 6th one, they even forgot what we said on the first one. Truly somebody who is really intrigued with investment, they usually take 3 so that they can compare and contrast this and that. Okay, bills, bonds, and MMF. So between those 3 things, which one will I pick? Or between bonds, bills, and business, which one will I pick? Then we actually analyze, well, if you go the business way, you can actually tend to gain this and this and that, and these are the risks involved in this. If you go the bonds way, this and this and this is what it means, and these are the risk. If you go to the MMF way, this and this and this and that, that's what you gain to give. Now, because now you've identified what are these, now what is you? What is your goal? Where are you heading? Where are you right now? Where do you want me to pick you from? Then you run against this, what you have on the table, vis-a-vis what you want. Then these are the 3 vehicles that you have, for example. You pick the vehicle that can help you to take you to the destination. You take the vehicle that is plying the route of where you are following, or where you are heading, or where you are going. That is exactly what you do. But when you bring forth all this investment, you just want to know, you just want to be in a state of knowing, not really in the state of understanding to invest, just being in the state of knowing. That cannot even help you. And this is the reason why you find the professors and these so much book-oriented people, they never take any action. They analyze and analyze it. By the way, I don't know whether you know this. If we only live engineers in the industries and factories to make us cars and whatever. Do you know that car will never actually be on the road? We need to have salespeople. We need to have people who can take risks, because these engineers and scientists, they actually test, retest, test, retest, test, retest, to a point whereby they actually see a mistake. By the way, the car as you know it, it's not perfect. It has its own limitations. That's why it can't fly. But if you just let the engineer, they just want to get everything at a go, so that we will never have sales. We need to have the sales team. We need to have the engineers. We need to have people be like, hey, guess what? No. Just that is it. That is it. That is it now. I think that we can put that into the market. You get what I'm saying? So do not have this analysis paralysis and what have you. Then we go to the point number 5, or rather the point number 3. These are the 5%. And by the way, this is quite over. I'm actually big generous on this. It's actually 2 to 3% thereabout. These are the people whom we call them the winners. These are the people who knows exactly what they want. They get an idea on this video, boom, they grab it, they utilize it. All right. First of all, they actually gather. Okay. We have 2 types of winners. Yeah. We have winners who get the idea, boom, they utilize it. They've not really gathered all the information that is required. They just get into it and then they learn about that thing along the way. Well, I'm going to take that information with a pinch of salt. I would say be very cautious. Don't really operate on that perspective, because it can be a bit slippery, okay? Because the learning cost can be a bit high. So it is good to, first of all, we go to the second set of the winners who learn about it. They don't really analyze to paralyze. They actually learn, they analyze it, then they get into it. They're action oriented. You take action, you take action. Oh, we're buying stocks. Oh, you take action, you take action. Oh, I want to start a business. Okay, you start from where you are. They don't operate on the excuses. They have this abundance of mindset whereby I may not have the 100 million, I may not have the 10, I may not even have 1, I may not even have 100,000, but I can start with this. You start from there progressively, because along the way, as the money comes in, you already have the business in existence. And that way, that is exactly what we call the winner's mindset. And the winners, they don't blame anybody. They don't have that blame game. Yes, they can see whom they can point out and blame, but they choose not to, because hey, even if we blame them, they don't even listen to us. They'll never change our lives. It is us who will change our lives. And that's why they shun. They actually roll up their sleeves and they start working, and they concentrate on that continuously until they achieve the goals and the targets that they need. And if you can operate on that perspective, then that's what we call winning mentality. That's what we call the winning mindset. And at all the time, incorporate that and have it along the way. That's good, Joseph. I ain't gonna make this video a long one. That's the end of it. But don't forget, go ahead and hit that subscription button. Make sure that you like the video. Make sure as well you leave me a comment on the comment section if you found value on this particular video. And by the way, what do you think about that, what I've shared with you? What do you think? Was there something like truth? Was there something like sort? And which category do you belong? Just be honest. I mean, if you're comfortable sharing that. All right. Don't forget to meet you on the next video by God's grace and will. For now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one.